Yo, what's up? CypherTalk, episode 7. We are here with Jermzrok.
Flow Fanatics crew, baby.
We got Daddy GoodFunk,
Yeah.
and we have Spook.
Yo,
Sweet.
it's Spooks now.
Oh,
Spooks.
Spooks.
There's like a whole thing about that.
Oh, wow. What happened? What happened with that?
It's kind of a long story. I don't know if you want to like get into it right away. It's Spooks now. So there's Spooky Nuts, which like came from this other thing that was with Lost Toys, my old crew. We all had secondary like food names. You know, like how D12 was actually 6 guys. And
Yeah,
they had, like,
yeah.
2 names each. Sort of the same thing, but it was food. So the most famous one probably is, you've heard of Butterscotch. There's a famous battle of like truth. So it's Butterscotch versus J-Bugs. So Andy's was Butterscotch, and mine was just nuts. And like Charlie Hustle, Sean, who's like the famous DJ now, his was Pringles. Yeah, he was Pringles, and James was Minty, and Muhammad was Hot Sauce, and so I was Nuts. So it became like Spooky Nuts. Also, the word spook is like bad to some people. Still, it's like an old thing.
Oh, like a
Against
voodoo type thing?
No, like a racial thing.
Oh.
It used to be. Used to be, and some people still think it is. So, to avoid any confusion about that, and to shorten the word Spooky Nuts, it's now just Spooks.
Makes sense.
So I'm gonna stick with that.
Different aliases.
That's crazy. So, yeah, we got a surplus of guests today, which I'm excited about. So I want to thank you guys for coming on the podcast. We're here in the boardroom of Canadian Footwear. So shout out to them for letting us use this boardroom.
They really let us. We kind of just walked in and just took over.
We just invaded. So I want to kind of get into some questions for Spooks or Braden. I'll just go. What do you rather be called, like, just in general?
I don't tell people to call me Spooks. It's kind of weird for me.
Okay.
Like, I don't mind Braden. That's my name.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So there's
That's
actually
fine.
there's a lot I don't know about you. Like, how did you get started with breaking, and like, how did you come about? Well, just dancing, I guess.
It came. I mean, it can be a long story. I was into dancing. I was dancing more to like rock music. Like in my basement, I was rocking out to like Linkin Park and like Kid Rock. But then also I was getting into like, I was always really into games and like fantasy and martial arts and just like cool nerd stuff. So I was also trying to like be a ninja and like learn tricks and stuff. And so I was trying to learn windmills, but I didn't know it was like a breaking thing.
Did you think it was a ninja thing?
Yes, I suppose. Yeah, it was just like a cool guy thing. And then, but over time, I learned about breakdance.com. And then I kind of got solidified in it when I ran into Andy Truth at the Field House in Saskatoon. And he was like, "Your windmills are bad." And that was like how we met each other. He was like, "That's not how you windmill." I was like, "Oh, screw you." So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a b-boy, and then it became like a stubbornness thing, I guess. It was just the thing that I was trying to get good at.
Did you say one time you like started popping or something like that? Like you did that at
Yeah,
some
I was
time?
into that too. Like I started pretty out of shape, and also I really couldn't do much like athletic stuff. So I was actually, I was also doing, and that back then like breaking was somewhat still linked in with popping. Like they hadn't fully separated in the way that they are now. So it wasn't so unusual to like do some like boogaloo and then like fall, and now you're doing a 6-step.
Yeah.
But like now it's kind of weird to do that. But I was into that.
What year is that?
Oh God. Like 1999, 2000,
Oh, really?
2001, something like that. Yeah. But then, I like branched off into breaking. That was more of what I wanted to do, I guess, later on.
So how's the scene? Because you started out in Saskatoon, right?
Yeah.
How's the scene out there when you started, and like how did it progress and all that kind of stuff?
It was good. Like actually, for the amount of people in that city, it was pretty strong, pretty healthy. There was at least 2 crews when I was there, like besides my own, Skillforce and Eternal Bboys, who like are still around. Some of them, you'll see them now and then. They're cool, and they were strong. Like they were regional competitors. Like they would go to Calgary a lot, and Winnipeg knows some of them, and they spent some time in the West Coast. And yeah, they were respected. Like it wasn't a small town scene. I don't think they were actually pretty good.
Oh,
so
wow.
we had people to try to beat from the beginning.
So were you guys influenced a lot by Calgary, or like what kind of influences did you guys like have?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest like quantum leap in our like the way we thought about breaking and like the Canadian scene was, it was Calgary. Andy, I think through one of those sites like breakdance.com, Truth. When I say Andy, I'm talking about Truth. I think he got in contact with Tyler Rocca, who from they had like an older crew, Funky Monks and something else, I think. He told him to go to Calgary. He went to Calgary. He met J-Bugs. And then the next time he went, I went with him. And yeah, we met Almighty and Funky Monks, and that was kind of like, these guys are really good. So that's when we were like, this is bigger than us. It's bigger than our little Saskatoon scene. And there are people that are really interesting in this country. So yeah, that was probably the biggest like moment.
How did you get into Dangerous Goods? Like, how did you get into that crew? Like,
Ooh. What's
what's the story behind that? Because I don't know any of that stuff.
You'd have to ask them. That was a bad decision for them. Again, it was sort of there was like a courting process, if you want to call it that. We had met them in Regina and we battled them. And like, I think I can say that like they showed up thinking that it was this one jam in Regina was going to be free for them. It was going to be like free money.
Right.
And we actually like, I won't say we made it hard for them because like they were going to win, but they had to try, which they didn't expect, I think. So they were like impressed right away, and we hung out with them. There's like, we all have memories of like a night in a hotel with like 10 of us in Regina. And we're like, what are we doing here? And and Andy and I were still pretty new B-boys. So like hanging out with strangers, like we didn't know them really. And we're like in a hotel room, and there's like, they had Naruto playing. That for me, that was a really like, like I remember that very clearly. There's a laptop with like Naruto. No one was really watching, but it was on like the whole time, just so if you like needed to, you could look over. But yeah, so we like started bonding, and we came a couple of times, and then there was a Break for Bread. I want to say 2008 or 9.
I think.
And it was a pretty big one. There was quite a few out of town crews, and we battled with them, and that was sort of our like. They didn't say it explicitly, but there was an understanding that was like, if you do well at this, we'll like let you keep breaking with us.
Nice.
And I guess we did okay. There was one battle there that like me and Andy did a routine that we had and like kind of saved it, I think. So they were like, okay, these guys can be down. But then yeah, we got along, which is like. In the old days, like you had to be friends with your crew. So yeah, we hung out and talked, and it went well.
That's pretty cool. So did you get in before Candice or after? Do you know the timeline of that? Or
No, I'm not. No, I think Candice was before that a little bit, but she had moved to Europe, I believe.
she's always moving around.
Yeah,
Never know
it's
where
hard
she is.
to keep track of her. But so like we were actually not very aware of her during that like courtship time. But then like later on we found out that there's this girl that's in our crew that like everybody else is down with and we don't even know. But we ended up spending some time with her, and yeah, she's great. It was cool. I think she was put down before us, to answer that question.
Cool. Well, what's been your impression of the Winnipeg scene? Because you've been out here for various events.
Yeah, I lived here for almost a year. I want to say 2011 or 12.
Mhm.
I'm bad at these like years timeline.
Come on, man. We expect
it was
you
just
like
that was
just
just
Surla, just like
yeah.
freaking spit
That
them
was
out.
just the time that I lived in Winnipeg that one time. It's good. I mean, yeah, Dangerous Goods is amazing. And obviously they're like, if you're trying to describe the scene here and the evolution of it, like you have to, that's a pretty key factor. But in general, a lot of them are pretty interesting. Like there's not a lot of cookie cutter B-boys, I wouldn't say here. Like they're all trying to be something interesting. And there's a lot of people that I'm excited for. I don't think it's in danger or anything.
Cool. Well, what's Vancouver like? Like you moved out there, was it recently or no? Or was it a while ago?
It's been like a year and a half, almost. It's good. Yeah, they're.
You guys practice in like Robson Square and stuff?
Yeah, Robson is a mixed bag. Vancouver scene is like Robson is a big focal point because it's free, and you can go any time of day. But you also get what you pay for. It's like usually dirty and it's usually like rock solid. And if it's like at all humid out, it's very sticky. So it's like, it's rough to dance on. It hits you back if you fall. But it's good. And like, I like to use J-Bugs as an example of like what Robson is good for. Because he moves in a way that like doesn't allow Robson to hurt him. He just like rolls and slides and it's really clean and you can do it on a rock solid surface. So in a way it's like the old school like master that's like hitting you if you do something wrong.
Oh, never thought of that.
No.
Oh. We got all these like ninja martial arts like
Yeah.
metaphors that freaking Surla started. Surla started as like inverse ninja law. I'm like, what is that? And then he like
But the scene there is good. They're strong. They were, for a lot of my career, it's been like an East Coast, West Coast struggle generally in Canada. And it was going back and forth. And then in the last couple of years, East Coast has been pulling ahead. But I can pretty confidently say now that Vancouver is on the upswing. There's a few individuals that are going to bring it back to the center. They're going to be competitive. They're strong, and they're young, and they're hungry, and they're willing to travel. So yeah, that'll be good.
Have you guys encountered? I'm talking to you too, Germs. Like way east, like any b-boys or b-girls, like way east, like in like freaking Newfoundland or something like that.
I've encountered or like that I know of. Like
Yeah, that you know, because
yeah.
I'd never really heard of any. And they always talk about like Vancouver and like Montreal or Toronto and all the other ones, but
I've met a few people. Are they from Halifax? I think they're Eastern Bloc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those guys are fresh.
Yeah, they're good,
They're very good.
and they're dealing with a really small scene too.
Yeah,
Like
I think
they're
they're
self-motivating. Sorry.
they're the only crew I think in Halifax,
whoa,
and then they're high level too.
cool. I'm gonna ask Mark some questions now.
Mhm.
It seems like a very formal interview. You guys could like interject and sometimes,
We're being polite.
A.
Interrupt each other.
Mark, how did you start dancing? Like, how did that start happening?
Okay.
Tell us the story.
Okay, so during, I guess, elementary, I didn't really listen to music or think about dancing. It was just video gaming. That was pretty much it. But then my parents decided to move, and so we moved closer to my cousins, and then I started to go to Stanley Knowles. And I remember my cousin Ryan San Juan. He was all like, "Oh, you're going to my school? You got to be cool. So you have to shave your hair, get an undercut, because it's cool right now, and like you have to start to learn how to break dance." So then it got to the whole point where we're just like learning. Well, he was teaching me how to break dance. Like the moves were like knee spins, slapjacks, aka alphas, right? Then windmills, of course. And yeah, the videotape that was going around, yeah, we got a hold of that too.
What year was this around? Because I mean, like,
This was
it's been around for a while. Eh?
junior high, so this is around 94, 95. Or wait, yeah, 95 I actually started practicing with other people.
Who did you practice with?
Well, funny story. Like, there was a time where I was just walking around the school, and then I walked around a corner, and I saw this guy doing like backbreakers on the grass, and I'm like, oh, they're battling. I'm like, oh my god. And it was my friend Oliver Dewacki. So he was part of my crew, Final Clearance.
That's crazy.
Shout out to them, man.
So, do you want to talk about like your interaction with your first interaction with like Bob and like Surla and them? Because he talked to me about this and it was super funny.
Okay, so our other crew member, his name is Oscar, and he's John Surler's younger brother. And pretty much I was just chilling with him at his house, and I remember walking in, and his brother John was like, "Oh man, you gotta," or it was something like, "I'll teach you how to Brooklyn rock." So he started teaching me, and I remember the song was "Velvet Rope" by Janet Jackson. And he's like teaching me. It's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and that was like pretty much it. Then Bob was there too at the time, and it's like, oh, if you're getting into breakdancing, the thing that's in right now is elbows, and they started doing like poses on their elbows, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's go.
So this was like around 95 too, right?
Yeah, like a grade 8-ish. Yeah.
How did you start locking? How did that start happening?
Well, I was still breaking before. Then I got injured at the college I was at in the automotives, and a engine block kind of tipped over and fell on my knee. So I had to stop dancing for a while. Then eventually I think 2009. Like I was trying to get back into breaking again. Then eventually a locking kind of, or a funk kind of song came on, and I'm like, I can't really break to this. Like I didn't feel it. Mm-hmm. So I like started fooling around with like locking. But back then I didn't know it was called locking. When we used to, I guess, dance, with Final Clearance, they used to call it speed funk. Right, but then hearing like Surla's podcast or John's, John's or
I think Bob said
was it Bob?
I think Bob said street funk or something like that.
Yeah, street funk. So I guess when it got to us, they call it speed funk.
That's like the broken rock.
Yeah.
Surla, I don't know if he was on the podcast when he said it. He was like, some kid was asking him about the broken rock, and he's like. And then the kid showed him, and then Surla was like, "Do you mean the Brooklyn Rock?" No, and the kid was like, "No, it's called the Broken Rock."
Don't argue with John, man.
It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so pretty much, I started playing with locking, and then I guess I wanted I guess this is something I was fooling around with, so I started searching online on YouTube on locking. Then the first video I saw was P-Lock versus Gemini and Jeremy, right? And and I didn't know there was like a locking battle. Like I didn't think there was a like locking battle that ever existed. So I was like really like motivated to like start locking. So I just started getting into locking. Then I started searching for like Canadian lockers. Then I found Ashley Steeds from Calgary.
What year was that around?
It's about 2009. All around that time.
Must have been before 2009, right? Because Surla's workshop was 2008 in the fall. And then you came... Did you come to that workshop knowing stuff already? Or was it...
No, I didn't. All I saw was stuff I saw online.
Oh, okay.
Then I went to his class. Then eventually he said to me, that's all I could teach you, right? That's all he knew. So that's when I started searching for other Canadian lockers.
Okay.
And that's when I found Ashley.
And how did Ashley like kind of help you along with your locking progression?
Well, she told me about like which videos to watch, who to follow, right? Because sometimes you follow the wrong people on YouTube if you don't know that much about the dance.
Just end up doing funny Skeeter Rabbits or whatever.
Yeah, because like for the longest time, like I was doing like things wrong. Then I finally shared it to her, and she's like, "It's like, oh, you're doing it wrong." I'm like, "What? Doing it wrong?"
How would you guys like conversate? You just send each other videos like through the internet?
Yeah,
and
it was
stuff?
all through YouTube.
Always YouTube.
Yeah.
That's how it is, I guess.
With locking, like, what appealed to you about like locking, as far as that? Because it seems like it's a lot different than breaking, just the style itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I was more hungry for the battle. Like, since I can't battle in breakdancing, and like I wasn't up to par anymore because I stopped for so long. So it was hard to me to like I entered some jams, but I wasn't like good. It would be just like a 6-step to windmill, and that was it.
Okay.
Type thing, like old school style, where you just do like one move and you're out of there.
You one special move then.
Yeah. Yes.
What was Lockadelic like? You took a private class from Lockadelic.
Yeah, she was pretty strict. Her English was kind of broken, but yeah, I kind of
Broken.
figured it out. But yeah, she pushed me pretty hard.
Yeah, you can tell by the picture on Facebook. You're just like after the workshop, you're just like your face is like all tired. She looks completely fine. Then you're just completely tired.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was mostly because I wanted to battle, so I was like hungry to battle, like in any kind of dance. But locking was my main ground now at that time. And then I was like trying to challenge like whoever, because like who else would I challenge, right? Except for John, right? So for the longest time I was like trying to challenge John, and I'm like, maybe I'm scaring this guy.
Well, you were there. We talked about this on Serla's episode, where he was battling Yao at I think Ricky's event at U of M, and you did a showcase at that.
No,
event.
that was a different jam.
Was it a different one?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the same, but it was in the same spot, right? Like the same place.
Same spot, but half the room.
Oh, okay. Because I figured like, oh, why didn't you just battle Serla in locking? Because he did like I asked him about this one move that I saw the Go-Go Brothers do. I think it's you who did it. His name is you. Not you, Mark. Me, not me. You. It was like it was a jump in the air, and he did a split, like a Russian split, and then he went down he hit the floor and did like a James Brown split and got up. Then I asked, hey, do you know about that move? And he's like, yeah. And then he shows me, he does it like out of nowhere, just like boom, and then that. I'm like, whoa. Like he does it out of nowhere. But that would have been interesting because Serlo, I thought Serlo was really good at both of those styles, popping and locking, at one point. And I think there is even footage of him doing a showcase, like he did like a popping thing after a workshop, like a popping solo after a workshop.
Yeah, I see that.
For Unite, so that's somewhere. Maybe Kayla has it, the one who recorded it. But yeah, so that's how you got started in locking.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just.
Oh, was it Gemini, a Gemini and P-Lock video that you're talking about? Was it the black and white checkered floor?
The most epic like locking battle ever.
That's crazy. I remember seeing that too. Spooks. I said that again. Braden.
That's
whatever.
okay. There's no wrong way to say it.
These spooks.
What's breaking gonna be looking like for you in the future? Because I think I saw one of your posts where you're like, oh, I'm lucky to be like breaking now, and like, do you see any, like, do you expect to be breaking when you're a lot older, or what do you expect to be?
I think so. That's true. I'm already considering myself in like bonus time. which is a nice place to be. Like I'm playing with house money, so they say. When I moved to Vancouver, it was for a friend who was sick, and the plan was, it was like I was gonna move out of Saskatoon anyway. After I finished university, I was like, I'm just gonna go to like a big city for a while. But then he called me. He's like, I need to do chemo. I'm gonna stay in school, or I'm gonna stay at work. So like you can get set up here. You don't have to pay rent for a bit. Just like cook for me and clean for me and stuff. And so like that worked out. And he's fine now, by the way. So like that's not, don't feel bad about that. But so the point was, I was expecting, like I didn't know how bad it was going to be. So it was like I might spend the next year not breaking. I might just like help this guy out. This is more important. And I'm getting older, breaking. I'm not winning battles right now, and I need to like find a career. So like it seemed like not a bad place to like leave it and like not try to stay up on it. But that the chemo thing turned out not to be that bad, and I found some people to break with there, and I had crew there already, a couple of guys. There's a couple of Dangerous Goods people, and Jay and Raw Minds. So like there was support, and it's actually just been working out. And the Red Bull thing happened. So yeah, I'm finding reasons to keep doing it.
Nice.
And also like it's good exercise.
How many battle years do you have though, like competition wise?
Like left?
Yeah, left in your.
Right. So I don't know. I guess until something else comes up.
Yeah.
Like in my spare time, I'm gonna keep like going to practice.
Yeah.
Just because it's like a habit now, which is it's a nice place to be. Like I don't need to motivate myself because it's just like it's just what I do. Is go to practice, and I'm having fun at practice because I'm not so worried about like winning battles per se. I'm just like I'm going to go and have fun, and like learning is actually easier that way for me. So until my body fails, I guess, and I'll keep dancing. Like I'm starting to learn house, and I've been taking like a couple of like new style hustle classes so I can dance with girls. So like I want to stay doing it. I'll still top rock, even like, you know, if I get hit by a car or something, like I'm not gonna wait 2 years and then go back and try to start winning like Bboy battles again, because that's just not realistic. But as I get older, I will become a different kind of dancer. That's for sure. And that's probably sooner than later. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Well, how old are you?
I'm turning 30 this year.
Oh, really? Wow.
Still young. Still young.
Not young for a b-boy. I don't
True,
think. Like
true.
that's the mons that are really doing well these days are young athletes. That's for sure.
It almost seems like b-boying is like boxing in some sort of sense, or like fighting. Like you gotta be like in your prime years, like as far as age goes.
Yeah, that's part of it. But I mean, everyone has examples of guys that are a little bit older that are still doing well.
Yeah, like Storm, right? Like Storm is.
Well, and the most recent thing for me, I remember like Bob and I were both like cheering when what are they called? Skill Methods just like won a thing in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And they're all like 30 or something, like in their 30s, and more importantly, they had quote unquote fallen off, like they weren't winning stuff and they weren't so like relevant in the competitive scene. And then they showed up at I forget what it's called, as like a crew, and just obliterated everybody, and it was great. So we were like, we can still do it. We're not screwed yet.
Yeah, speaking of skill methods, I think when I went to that event in the Yukon, I was speaking to Luigi, and I think I was like 19 years old. I was like 2 years into breaking. He's like, oh man, I'm like 19 years old. Do you think I still have it? He's like, man, B-Boy Venom started when he was 19. And I was like, damn, I think I do still have it.
That's not to say that there's not an athletic advantage to starting young. Like I think we can all agree that it's better to do it that way. Like your body, you just get your body like prepped for it. But no, I'm still like, if I'm gonna win battles, it's not gonna be off my athleticism entirely. Like I want to be a good dancer. I would want to be cool. I'm not just an athlete.
Well, I heard that Candice started like when she was like 24.
Yeah, mid-20s.
That's That's pretty. But I guess she was pretty athletic before that as well, right?
Mm-hmm. And still, her perspective on breaking is pretty interesting. Yeah, because she didn't start as like a teenager, like a lot of us did. So she doesn't have a lot of her like personality bound up in it. Mm-hmm. Like some of us started when like I didn't really have anything going on before that. So like, it's hard not to think of myself as like a b-boy, as one of like the primary things that defines me.
Right.
So it's hard. Like it's easy to feel bad about it if you don't do well or something. But she never really seems to have that because, yeah, she started in her mid-20s as like, oh, I'm gonna try this new thing, and then she happened to get good at it, and she met a cool crew. So it's all positive for her.
Sweet.
So what's like your...
What was the question?
No, I just made a statement. I just said the Candace started in, like when she was 24.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, yeah, she had. I think she'll tell you that she had a good run. Like she's not trying so hard now at breaking. She's got an injury right now from jiu-jitsu, I believe. So she's doing all kinds of stuff. But yeah, she has like a million different skills.
Yeah, not just one.
Wasn't there one time in a battle where you did like a friendly smack to the behind on her? Was that you?
Candace, you are my sister, right? And she'll say that about Dangerous Goods. Like she's really happy with Dangerous Goods because none of us have ever like looked at her as anything but a sister. Mm-hmm. And she's like, that's hard sometimes in like this community of men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one.
Or just guys in general.
But yes, somewhere there's probably video of me like giving her a butt tap on the way in, as I would to like Truth or Dark, and I just like didn't think about it. But yeah, she was like, what the hell?
She looked back at you or something. Yeah. She's like, what?
Spooks. I got a question. I saw this video with you and Truth battling. And these younger fellas did your routine in front of you.
What? When?
I don't know. I just saw one random video and it was like these kids.
Were they like making fun of us?
No, they actually
just like
they bit the whole thing.
What the hell? I don't remember.
Like the one you did for Break for Bread, I think 2009 or 2010.
Is it like the flip? Like you hold the guy by the ankles and flip him?
Or when you had your foot around his head and you guys...
Oh. Are they from Calgary?
I don't know.
No,
future.
That's... I don't know. I vaguely remember like thinking that I think that might be our move. But that's not the first time I've had that thought, and like everybody sees their moves in other people. Mm-hmm. So if I witnessed that, I didn't take it to heart.
So like growing up, like who did you look up to, Spooks?
Like, for a lot of my career, it's been Andy. It's been Truth. Like he's actually younger than me, but like a lot of my career has been trying to keep up with him. Yeah. He was just a genius, and so it for a lot of time it was good enough just to try to like follow him. Beyond that, like Bob. Probably the big ones are Andy and Bob.
Yeah.
That I have like built myself off of.
How did Bob like influence you? To like, did he just motivate you to get better, or just like?
Yeah, and well, he's a hard ass. Like, he's like, don't be afraid. Like you need to, and he at practice will just like battle you randomly. And for a long time.
He's very, very blunt with his opinions. So.
But it's good. Like, that's like the definition of a mentor, is someone who is invested in your success, so that their criticism, is you can listen, because they're not just trying to like make you feel bad. Like they care about whether you do well or not.
Yeah, no shit. Like I have a Bob story. It was like in 2010. We were just practicing at Afro and stuff. I think everyone was doing power, and then like at that point I didn't have any power. And then in front of like a room, I think this is when you were living here still. Called me out. He's just like, Jeremy, let's see your windmills. I'm just like, don't have windmills. Yeah. And then I tried to, and he's like, oh, you gotta get them. Then I actually took it to heart. I was like, fuck, I feel embarrassed. So like for like 2-3 weeks. I didn't go NAF. I didn't go to any public practices. I went to I just practiced at my basement and drilled windmills every day for 2 weeks, and went back to NAFRO and just did them in front of Bob, and he's like, "Yo, you got it!" He got yeah. He was sitting down. He got off the seat, then he just started jumping around. So like, yeah,
that's great.
That was awesome. I guess without him, I wouldn't have any power right now.
To my list, I will add J-Bugs. Like I've spent a lot of time with him, and he's got a really interesting perspective on the dance and just like movement, and he thinks I'm cool. So it's like again, it's like a mentorship thing.
Have you developed like your own specific philosophy for your own breaking?
I could make something up, but like it changes a lot. It changes a lot depending on the day. It's like I try not to get too over analytical with it, because like that's the kind of person I am. Is I want to like break things down and understand them on a scientific level. But it's hard to do that with art all the time, and I want to be an artist like in this one small area of my life. But in general, I guess the aesthetics are, it's from like anime and like video games and stuff. Like I like larger than life kinds of movement. And like Jackie Chan, there's a video people should look up about Jackie Chan. It's like what makes his movies better than American martial arts movies.
Oh, really?
And that pretty much describes like how I think about breaking. Is like the point isn't to like make things crazy and wild so that people can't even understand. Like you want to demonstrate what you're doing so people can understand your creativity. Like you want to do it in a way that they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. You don't want them to be like, oh, that's wild. Like in graffiti, there are some people, and I'm not criticizing like one style or another, but there are people who don't care if you can read their graffiti, right? They'll just make it wild. And that's sort of the point, is that just like, whoa. But I prefer to like have it a little simpler so that it's like readable, if that makes sense.
Right. So people can kind of understand it and kind of take it in, I guess, in a way, right?
Mm-hmm. Like you want people to identify with it.
There it is, yeah.
You want them to be like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. Instead of like, there are some people who it's like incomprehensible what's happening. And that's impressive in its own way, for sure. But I more so want to like have it understood. I want to be understood. To that, I want to mention like all the other guys in Dangerous Goods. That's the final like point on that list of like inspiration and people that I look up to, is like all the rest of Dangerous Goods. There's like a piece of me, or there's a piece of them, of each of them in me, for sure. And I could give you an essay on like why I admire each one of those people.
Each one and all of them. Just a paragraph. Jeez. So you're known as like a unique and creative b-boy, in all over Canada. So how's your practice like structured? Like are you like there at practice? You're just trying to like create one type of one movement, or you're just kind of like upgrading your current sets and stuff?
Gotcha. There is a lot of that. Yeah, like there's only so much material that I can have at one time, like in the memory banks. I should be writing it down. I recommend that people like write things down and record and just like document as much as they can so that they understand themselves. And that's just out of laziness that I'm not doing that. A lot of practice right now is warming up for me. Making sure I don't get hurt. Other than that, there is some creativity. Right now I'm trying to like remain athletic. Like I'm trying to develop power, which I should have done 10 years ago. But I'd like to learn a little bit more power. So I'm trying to be strong and like doing things on both sides. Because like creativity, it hasn't really been a problem for me. I'm lucky that way. So I think right now my philosophy is like trying to develop good like techniques that will allow for the creativity, if that makes sense.
Word.
Cool. So we just had last night there was Oh yeah, this is for the future visitors or whatever, because this is gonna be posted like in like a week or something. Yeah, last night we had Dance for MS. Do you guys want to talk about that a little bit? Like, what are your thoughts on Dance for MS? I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was fun. I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. You know, we're dancing for a great cause, multiple girls. So I didn't. I don't know.
Did you compete? Were you in the battle?
Yeah, I was in the 3-on-3.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't think much of it. Like I didn't take it too seriously because
Yeah.
just there to have a good time. But other than that, it was hot as fuck inside there.
It was warm. Yeah, it was warm. There were some standout people who I thought were really, really, really good. Like Storm was back from Cali and she did really well. There's some new people I see like potential in. Like we call him the G-style guy, what's his name again?
Draco.
Draco, yeah, Draco, Popper who looks up to Nonstop. Some Steinbach kids came out and had the courage to enter the battle, which would be pretty hard. Like if you look at everybody who's entering, it's like all these cats are entering. Like I'll enter too, So yeah, and then tonight we have what's it called? The qualifier for Red Bull. For the Red Bull, what's it called?
The qualifier for the
on to the
qualifier.
next one. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Bob. Yeah, it's like Bob's going away party. He's moving to Toronto, but he's hosting a battle.
And both of you guys are in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Soon to be one of us.
Are you guys excited for that?
Yes.
Yeah, why not? Free trip to Toronto if I win.
Yeah. He's Bob wants like as many people as possible to go to that city. It's like the Mecca for him. He wants people to go and see what the Spartans train like and what it's dog eat dog out there.
Very much.
Have
so.
you guys been to that venue that it's going to be held at?
I don't know if I have.
The list?
No, I haven't.
He told me the floor is good, so that's all I care about.
Perfect. Yeah.
He says it's good to break on.
But all in all, it's gonna be a good vibe. I'm there to party afterwards.
Yeah, it's all prairie cats, and we all know each other, so it's not.
Who's in the top 8? The invite only top 8?
So it's us.
Us two, Simon, Vince, Jarek, Jamal, and
Della?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Is that 8?
I think that's it.
Sorry.
if I'm
Dark.
missing it.
Dark's in
Yes, Dark.
Darkest Lamarcus.
Tito Dark, as they would like to call him in Calgary.
So Mark,
I haven't had a one-on-one with Dark ever. I don't think. So that'll be cool.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had a 1-1 against the Saskatoon Cats. No.
Yeah,
Those
Simon
are
and
good.
Vince are like my. I want people to pay attention to them.
Proteges.
Yeah. Andy and I have had 3 sons. And it's down to 2 now. Brian, I think you guys saw Brian once or
Yes.
twice maybe.
Brian, yeah.
And he was looking pretty good, but he's decided to move on with his real life.
Wasn't he he was breaking in New York for a bit, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, after
And
that,
Toronto.
just-
Now he lives in Seattle and he's killing it with Microsoft. So I don't blame him for not breaking. But Simon and Vince are the other 2, and I'm pretty excited for them.
was Vince in the 3-on-3 yesterday?
Yeah, it was my team was Vince and another gentleman, Carl, from Regina.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought he was with you, Saskatoon. I
Mhm.
didn't realize he was from Regina.
Yeah, so is Vince. But
Is Saskatoon and Regina, are they close as far as the dance scene goes, or is it kind of segregated in some kind of way?
I don't want to speak for Regina too much, but all I know about that city right now is Vince and Carl. But there are other Flipped Out. I think is still breaking, but I think they're also focused on career and stuff, so they're not traveling as much. But it's a 2-hour drive, and people go all back and forth all the time. So we, in a lot of ways, we consider it one scene, Saskatchewan. When we entered City versus City, it was just Team Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Because our scenes are not that huge.
How far back does as far as the Saskatchewan scene goes, as far as hip hop culture?
I don't know. Just in general, like hip hop.
Yeah, like well, when you
Saskatchewan?
start, when did you, like what years did you start? Getting into the scene and stuff like that.
Man, I can only really speak for breaking, as far as hip hop goes in that region. And as far as I know, yeah, I think probably Skillforce was the first. Were the first guys to like spend a couple of years on breaking, like that actually tried to get really good. I could be wrong. And also like Munir, I should mention, who was like Lost Toys Muhammad, older brother. But so I think probably around the like modern explosion, if you want to call it that, like how like breakdancing died and then like resurged. I think we got part of that maybe in the mid 90s when like Skillforce got into it.
Do you guys have like dance festivals, like how there's Manitoba Dance Festival, which by the way just wrapped up like here? Do you guys have anything like that out there with adjudicators coming in from out of town and like judging, dance pieces
Right.
or anything?
Not at the same scale, I don't believe. And my understanding is that these ones, they have like categories that include hip hop and street dances, but also other things like
Yeah, like they have
other,
like
like,
hip
classical
hop,
dances.
like jazz, and
Mhm.
like lyrical and all that.
I'm not sure that we have anything like that, but I can't say for sure about like the choreo scene.
Right.
And like when it comes to like hip hop dance, like in the studios, I think there's probably some of that.
Mark, I'm gonna ask you some questions now. just all focused on the Braden, just like
Sorry.
Special guest.
Yeah.
special guest. He's from out of town, so
Wearing the Beats
limited time.
headphones.
I want to talk about locking. Locking's
Oh
hard.
yeah. Mark, what do you think about? Because I just saw Maples, the Maples Collegiate, their dance group, do their number at Manitoba Dance Festival, which is really hype. And it had locking and there's popping in it as well. What do you think about that coming about in some of the choreo scene?
Pretty good as long as they're doing it correctly, which some people are, and I guess the more time they spent and like nitpick at it, just because locking is very technical. Like even when I was learning from like Gemini and like Ashley and Lockadell, like they were like, oh, it has to be like angled like this properly. Your posture has to be like a certain way,
Yeah.
and there's like a certain look. So it's like usually when you see like other people doing it that don't really practice it at a regular basis, they tend to do it slightly wrong, and you could really see it.
Well, I guess there's a way of making it look not amateur like, because there's ways that it looks like you could tell when they do an up, they just put their it's hands first instead of elbows first, or if they do a wrist roll with their elbow down really low or something, like you could kind of
Oh my god.
see.
It's so like.
So technical.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you could see it like whenever Jeremy locks, it looks kind of funny.
Well,
That's perfect form.
well, it's because there's only like so many like moves for locking, right? Then the rest is like grooves and other stuff. So
Yeah, I
that's
think
why
you gotta have the basics down first, and then you could kind of build off of that.
Yeah.
How do you like when you teach locking? Do you always teach the lock with that angle where you do the tilt with your body and then your arms parallel?
That was coming from my lock, so that was from my own lock.
Okay.
So I just like went backwards and like found out my own way of like teaching it. So I don't always have to like make something up each time. So I just made it solid way to make it look good.
Because there's different ways to doing the lock, right? There's a way you could like lock with your kind of like your wrists a little bit. You could lock out with your arms more out. You could lock with like your elbows flaring out more, like more like a chicken type thing. So there's different types of locks, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, there is something to be said about like practicing and drilling the techniques. Have you ever tried locking, Braden?
I tried a few classes, and it's super hard. And it's even harder to make it look how it's supposed to. Like the moves are there. It's just like put your arm up. but like that doesn't mean anything if you're not doing it with like the locking, like the.
Yeah.
It's really awkward at first, actually. Like I thought it was awkward because when I first started learning, it was just like, okay, wrist roll lock, but it like there's a certain pocket you have to get into as far as how the style is gonna look on you, and it takes a while. And a lot of people look kind of, they feel goofy, I think, when they do it, and so then they play up that goofiness when they start out or whatever, and it's just like. Ew. It's like, you know, those cringeworthy, like, you know, you see the style and like, ew, maybe they shouldn't have done that style.
Well, even looking back at my old footage, is like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
What is that?
That's hilarious though. Like those fives that you're giving yourself, you're like, like 5. Like what?
So when you battle in locking, do you like in breaking we'll stab each other and stuff like that? Like do you?
Well, you can.
Is it more like
it's getting to that point?
Oh yeah.
But like what they usually say is it's more about how you're feeling that time. Because they say like the only reason why it was like kind of happy looking video, because like when the original lockers went on like TV, they're all like, we're on TV, right? So they have that smile.
Yeah, there's different types of locking. Like there's locking. Rich was telling me there's locking that's on the stage, which is what the original lockers mostly did. And then there's locking in the club. There's locking like party dance locking, where you're just like just chilling out and doing that. And then there's battle. There's a battle style, which I think for me when I was battling in Vancouver, because like, that was like the only locking specifically locking battle that I entered. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just hit my like technique really strong, because I didn't see that there. It was like more of like a funky kind of like a little bit loose. So I was like, okay, I'll hit technical stuff really really well, and then when it comes to any of like I guess the power moves or whatever, like the splits or anything like that, knee drops, I'll do that as clean as possible, and hopefully on like some kind of musical accent. But that's how I kind of did it. What was your experience like locking and winning that one touch battle in Calgary?
Well, it
was Calgary?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was Calgary.
I think I was there for that. I didn't know you at that point, but I think I was there.
It was back in 2009, pretty much after I started locking as well, and it was an experience. There was like after like just freshly learning locking, so when I was battling, I was already pointing out their flaws.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're pointing wrong, and I'm like, just. But at the same time, I was using my my energy. I was like locking, like I was b-boying in a way. Like I was just using the same mentality, but doing that, I'm always going fast.
Yeah.
And it's hard to slow down at times. Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty fun. It was like a different crowd, and like just seeing like other lockers and battling other lockers, then battling my teacher, kind of. Ashley, and that was it was supposed to be one touch, then we had like 2 ties, so it ended up being 3 touches each.
Who was judging that?
It was Tara.
Was Caroline there?
Yeah,
Lady C?
Caroline, and I forgot who was that other guy.
How was Bust a Move?
Bust a Move in Montreal, it was pretty exciting. Like that was probably like the hypest battle I ever been to. It was an experience, like just seeing other lockers and knowing that I'll be battling them, but at the same time I was just like really shy, and I didn't want to like really dance in front of them, practice in front of them, and I guess that was kind of my bad. So when I actually got to the battle, it just like, I wasn't where I wanted to be in the battle, and I was too busy focusing on what was going on instead of focusing on me, because a lot of times when battles were going on, you could see the other competitors just on the side prepping already, while there's me holding my camera, right, recording stuff and not prepping.
Yeah.
That's not so bad, man. I think that's probably like That's a good attitude. You're participating more than the people that are like ignoring the other battles.
Mm-hmm.
So no one's gonna hate on you for like paying attention.
Well, I feel like you should. I mean, yeah. Well, you should be paying attention to the event itself, and I think most of the practicing should be done before the event. Like maybe right before your battle, maybe you should maybe kind of, meditate a little bit and think about okay, and then just go in, but not like an extended amount of time. I think that's you should have been practicing way before.
Yeah, but having family, it was pretty hard, and plus like if there was more lockers in the city, then there's more people I could practice with.
Yeah.
Right, but if there's only a few, then I have to wait until they're free, kind of to battle against someone really, or Cypher.
So there's these other people starting to lock now. Like you see Bulbasaur locking a little bit. Abel he said he's working on it too. Where do you see locking going in Winnipeg? How do you see it going?
Pretty good. Eventually it's gonna get up there, right? It's good for our city, right? But other cities, we have to catch up to them, right? But yeah, as long as we keep practicing and learning correctly, right? And just keep pushing each other and actually, have a strict locking practice. I think that would help a lot too. But yeah, if someone who is locking for a while, just find someone and start teaching them, right? And eventually it just grows bigger.
Yeah, I think it's growing. It's slow.
Yeah.
But I think it is growing too. Is there any locking in Saskatoon or Regina that you know of, Brayden?
I'll mention Amanda Murray, Amray. She's, I think, pretty much the premier street dance person, outside of breaking in Saskatchewan. She's now part of Fly Girls. She's living in Edmonton.
Oh,
She's still running Def Soul, which is her organization out of Saskatchewan. So yeah, she's good at it. She's good at all the street dances. I don't know about anybody else that's doing locking.
There's definitely locking in Vancouver. Have you run into the lockers out there?
Yeah, I mean Robson brings everybody together. There's I like to say what I'm seeing in Vancouver is less of a hip hop scene and more of a street dance scene. That's because everyone goes to the spot that's free and open, and there's at night the windows into the university down there are just mirrors.
Yeah.
So you got mirrors, and it's free, and Vancouver doesn't get that cold either. So yeah, it's a pretty tight knit street dance community, and yeah, there's a lot of lockers.
So are you gonna be there for Vancouver Street Dance Festival?
Yep. Yeah.
That was hype. I was there for 1 year. 1 year, and I think Arthur was already there. And Arthur was we said what's up to Arthur, and Arthur acted like we were just in Winnipeg, nothing. He wasn't I was expecting him to be oh hey man, what are you guys doing here? Yeah. But he's just hey, what's up?
That's Arthur.
Yeah.
Yeah, Street Dance Festival is pretty good. Shout outs to Boris. He's putting in time and money into that scene, and he's not even not from Vancouver originally, but he's done something good with it.
Yeah, I remember meeting Boris for the first time. I was in Vancouver training in locking, and I went I decided to pick up a popping class, and he was there, and then he asked me where I was from, and I was Winnipeg, and what I was doing here, and I was there for locking. Then eventually I don't know if he was locking already, but then I started seeing him locking more as well as popping. So.
I want to say Tony is the guy, I think. Does that sound familiar?
So is he taller and kind of thin?
No.
Tony?
No. Kind of looks like Mark.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Gotta battle him.
Yeah, I think he's teaching a lot of classes. I'm not following that scene as closely as I should be.
Have you met Rena?
Yep.
The whacker?
Yep.
Whacker.
Man, she's so good.
Oh,
she's cool.
Man.
Everybody's got a crush on her.
I kind of figured.
Show me a photo. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. She's taken though. She's taken.
That's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, no, she's definitely doing well out there.
Was there a popping scene out in Saskatoon or Regina or?
Similar story, I think.
Still Amanda.
Street dance. Yeah,
Amanda
Amanda. There's a girl named Larissa who is getting quite good. I think she moved away. I'm not sure if she's still doing it. And some casuals. There's Snake Man. There's Brandon Brown, which he comes from more of like the rave side of things.
Oh.
But has also forayed. He's been here before, to Winnipeg for a couple of things. But he has forayed into like the funk dance side of it. So there's a few. Yeah.
Sweet. You have any questions, Jerms?
I'm
I'm going through all these questions, man. I'm like,
Maybe.
I'm getting nervous every time you guys stop
Am I
talking
being
because
too succinct?
I'm like, oh, now I got to think of another question.
No, I'm in battle mode. I'm just thinking about tonight.
What's up with your crew? Like who's
My crew?
who sucks? Who's like
all of them except for me. No, our crew's like small in numbers. It's just like me, Jarek, and Winston, and then we like to include to 5 every now and then.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. We're still training.
Mm-hmm. You guys have some shoes to fill right now.
Yeah,
with like Bob leaving.
Bob leaving, yeah. So, well, it's good that he has confidence in us.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't think he wouldn't want to leave here without, without having confidence with us.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Are you guys gonna throw a jam anytime soon? Like, are you guys? Is that something you guys want to do?
Oh, for sure. Like you said, we have like boots to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have to keep dancing alive. Mm-hmm. So we're it's in the works. We're thinking about doing like an all styles and a Bboy jam same day. So let's see, probably like in a year or so. Probably want to get like good judges in. So like people that haven't been here before, and just let everyone in Winnipeg just battle each other. So,
You guys have it harder than anybody in like as far as Central Canada. I don't know about like East Coast, like Halifax and stuff, but from Saskatoon we can get here to Winnipeg on a road trip. We can get to Calgary. We can get to Edmonton. So at least we have those options. You guys like
you have to fly.
You got to go to like Toronto is expensive, and you can go to Saskatoon, but we don't have that many jams.
Yeah.
So then it becomes Alberta, which is like. Then your trips are extended by like a whole day.
Yeah,
right.
So it's like a 16-hour drive, and last time we drove there, we hit a deer. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So flying is actually the number one option, and the only option for me. So
I'm saying respect to you guys, like that you're maintaining the scene. Like don't give up.
Yeah. No.
Just because it's hard to like get out.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're not gonna give up. I don't know. We just get inspired by the other scenes, and we see you guys just killing it. So I know.
Oh yeah, we're killing it.
Yeah. Saskatoon's killing it.
Hey Mark, do you remember the first time we met? Or do you not? It's kind of blurry in my mind a little bit.
Okay, the way it was for me, like I guess it was.
Hey, you tell your story first, and I'll tell mine.
Okay, I have a mutual friend, Matt, right, and then pretty much we were in the same car, and we were like talking about locking and who created locking, and which is Don Campbell, and then yeah, pretty much we were like ending each other's sentences. Then we looked over because someone was sitting between us.
Yeah.
Then we looked over, and I'm like, "Hey, were you in John's class?"
We're like, yeah, because it was so dark in that car, I like couldn't see anybody. But how did that start? Who messaged you about that? Did Matt message you about that? Starting a crew, because it was about starting a crew, because it was like America's Best Dance Crew, and and like it was so hype from that, and then everybody was starting a crew.
Yeah, pretty much that. He's just like, oh, get together, start dancing, and I guess at that time I was like, I think I was already coming back from. Vancouver?
Yeah, I think so. And so do you remember who was in that car? I think I remember.
Francis?
Yeah, it was Francis, and then there was Well, obviously Matt was in there, and then there was the other Mark Acala.
Oh
remember?
yeah.
Was Francis the one driving? It was Francis driving, right? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
That's where we figured out our crew name. Do you remember in that car?
No, it was sitting in
Was
front
it
of
the crew?
It was sitting by where we were practicing, and we were like about to leave, and we're thinking about a crew name, and you guys came up with like Goodfellas, and I'm like,
No, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. No, it wasn't Goodfellas. It was like it was Good Boys or something.
Good Boys. Yeah.
It was like super cheesy, and it was like I don't know if I like that, but the other guys liked it, and I was like, I don't like that. And then because I remember it was in the car, because I was like thinking of something with funk in the name. I was like Funk Monstars, because I like Space Jam. I was like, and then you're like, how about Good Funk? That's what I remember. It was like you were in the car and you're like, how about Good Funk? I'm like, oh, that's kind of a ring to it.
Or probably I heard the name at first at the practice area. Then I guess when we were driving back, then figured it out.
But that was after. Oh, that was early 2009 then. Must have been.
Yeah.
So
everything happened in 2009.
And I remember when you came back from Vancouver. Did you take Gemini's class out there?
Yes.
You came back from Vancouver, and then you're like, show me the Scooby-Doo, like a move. And I did the Scooby-Doo, and he's like, that's wrong. And then he like showed me the real move. I was like, oh, okay, my feelings are kind of hurt now, but I guess I'll have to learn the Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, well, because I wanted, like, I got so much information, and I want to share it, like, really bad, and I was like, I need to pick someone to like, give my knowledge to.
The guinea pig.
Yeah, pretty much, I guess.
Yeah, so pretty much after John's class, like, you were the only person I knew that was into locking as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well pass it to you, dude.
Do you remember who was in Sirla's class with us?
No, I have zero recollection of that.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. So when did you like officially start popping?
After I stayed in Vancouver for like 2 to 3 months.
Oh, you met Jameson out there, right?
Yeah. Then I took a lot of different classes, but then I always went back to locking because Sun, the one who trained me when I was out there, I always saw something new in locking that I never thought of. So I'm like, oh, okay, back to locking. Then I started focusing back into locking as well. So like even though I wanted to learn all these dance styles because I wanted to bring it back to Winnipeg so we could like start getting up there, but then I figured I can't learn this all and teach it all, right? So that's when I decided to like bring Lady C to Winnipeg because I just wanted more dance styles to come.
You ever watch popping battles, Brayden?
Not lately, not really. Because I don't think I'm a good critic of it, so I don't know what's good. Like, it's all good to me. So I just if there's something comes up, most of what I watch is like people if I know them.
Okay.
Like I don't have a ton of free time these days, so pretty much the only battles that I like make a point of watching is if I have some connection to the people.
Did you ever meet Jameson and some of those poppers out there in Vancouver at all? Cross paths with them?
Probably. I know a lot of faces.
Yeah.
But I don't think I know their names very well. But some of those guys are really good. So yeah, I mean, I saw the last year's Street Dance Festival.
Oh, nice.
Finals were pretty good.
Were you there?
Yep. Yeah, I was there.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
I was sitting in the back because I was bitter that I didn't get into the Bboy thing. But that was my fault.
Like you didn't make it through, or
right.
Oh.
But I was around. Yeah.
Oh. Missed you, man. I didn't see you there. Sorry.
Yeah, Street Dance Festival was cool. They had a giant prelim with one judge, Crazy Smooth, who is pretty cool. Yeah. So like, and I was lazy about it, so that's my fault.
So Mark, Braden like gets inspired by like martial arts. I get inspired by like pro wrestling. What do you like? What other like aspects besides dance inspires you?
It has to be music, really.
Music?
Yeah, just because I wasn't into music when I was younger.
Yeah.
So getting into music while I was dancing was just pretty much expiring. I can't even talk. Anyways.
Yeah. So like I don't know. You watch a lot of anime, so like, are you like, oh man, like you're so invested like in the character, you're like, oh man, I want to see myself as that character when I dance. I want to be like him or something like that.
For me, it's mostly like which era
Yeah.
dancers are growing up in. Like, so pretty much locking is like back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I'm like thinking of like older moves, Soul Train,
Yeah.
soul dances, like just trying to listen and like seeing how the world was back then too.
Oh really?
Right? Just because you won't feel the same how like if different generations feels different with
Sure.
whatever like what's ever happening during that time as well. So like yeah, so I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Do you ever think of concepts when you dance? Like,
starting to, yeah, with just little things like leaving an arm extended somewhere, or just staying at one spot. Like, I guess isolating certain movements. Pretty much just experimenting, like just whatever comes to mind. Like extending my arms, and I lifted it up to different angle. Oh! And I'm like getting like, yeah.
I was waiting for you to lock in sometime during the battles yesterday. Just locking in, I'd be like, ooh!
Just talking about light feet.
No. Which dance are you like focusing on right now?
Locking and popping,
Yeah.
the funk styles, just because the music is similar.
Man, the music is way better than B-boy music.
Oh yeah.
I'm so sick of B-boy music.
You guys seem
I
to get
will
a
hate
lot of
on it.
loops.
I will hate on new age B-boy music. I'm willing to do that.
DJ Lee mixtapes.
Yeah, like funk music is awesome. That's all I have to say about that. I wish it's slower than what we're used to now. Breaking, like we're like turbo mode.
Yeah.
And, like,
I just feel like break beats are just it sounds the same.
it's fast and it like some people know more about this than I do. I think some of it's got to do with like how big breaking has gotten, and so we've run up against copyright issues. You just can't play certain things on like a international forum. So there are a number of producers that who sort of have a monopoly on like new music. There are people that know a lot more about this than I do, but I'm sick of I'm sick of like a snare drum over and over and over.
What's your take on I just had the question, I totally lost it. Oh yeah, what's your take on like B-boys being on beat and being super musical rather than, I don't know, just throwing away the beat and just like, doing their power or whatever?
This is like, breaking is so subjective, and this is like a competition has to be only one aspect of it. Because we're gonna run into questions like this and there's no good answer. Some countries don't have as close of a tie to like hip hop as we do. We're pretty close to the States, so we care a lot about the dance. In some places it's not like that. It's just like, let's do some extreme Red Bull Monster upside down gorilla moves. And it's just like the music's just there to get you hype. Like it's like any other video, like it's background music and it's there just to add to the experience. It's not the dancer, if you want to call them a dancer, is just there to like be part of that, that tableau. They're not directly interpreting the music because there's nothing to directly interpret, like you were saying, in a lot of the new songs.
So you've judged before, right?
A couple times, yeah.
What's your criteria when you judge breaking?
Last time I did, I just was using like stars. I was giving like everybody a round of like 1 to 5 stars. But that's based on my like subjective interpretation of it. It's basically like how well they're doing whatever it is they're trying to do. I guess so. If they're going for spectacular power, then it's about like how spectacular it is, and if they're just trying to be cool and like funky, and even if it's really subtle, like some people have moves where they just like scuttle their fingers across the ground or something. Like I'm sold on that stuff too, so it'll get similar marks if it's creative. But it is like it's a super subjective thing, and this like competition is hard not to get bitter about sometimes, or like depressed about, because it's just so hard to compare people, and your job is to sit there and say like your thing was better than your thing, even though they're totally different. It's tough, but there are ways, and I guess that's like an experience thing. I've seen a lot of breaking by now, so I feel like I have a decent sense of what people are going for, and like what relative difficulties, like learning to dance really well is just as hard as learning how to like do a lot of head spins. Right? But it takes having tried to head spin a lot and having tried to dance really well to understand like the relative difficulty there. But again, it's entirely subjective.
What kind of stuff are you guys into other than dance?
Games.
Games, yeah.
Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers.
Clash
Yeah, you're doing the
Royale.
tournament at the food truck?
Yeah, Game Theory.
Yeah.
At Food Truck Wars next weekend, there is a Smash tournament, and I'm lucky to have friends in that community. So they've set it up so that the Smash tournament will end as the Bboy thing begins.
Nice.
So I will be at both, yes,
Nice.
and a lot of them will be as well. So that's sweet.
Yeah, at one point, like Smash Brothers, before practice, me and Jared would just play it before practice, so that we're getting too into it. I'd be like, fuck, we're late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys ever like you're so focused on competition, and then it kind of just gets you like in the mode, like you just feel like, oh man, I suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you just come to realize that, man, I should be having fun. This is dance.
Yeah.
I had that like a few weeks ago, just before the downtown moves. I was like too focused on the dance, on the competition and winning. And whereas, I don't know, I just came like when I just couldn't sleep one day. I was like, because I was so stressed out,
Yeah.
and I was just like, man, I dance because I love it. And then, sometimes the competitions is not everything. Do you guys feel that way?
Yeah, that's partially that's like a maturity thing,
Yeah.
and just like understanding your mind and controlling your emotions. And as we get older and our time is more precious, we don't like. I've spent entire weekends, just being stressed.
Yeah.
I spend a few $100s to go on this road trip and go choke because I'm stressing too much,
Yeah.
and then just be upset the whole way home. And now I'm back to work on Monday.
True.
It's like,
yeah.
why are you letting yourself have that experience? Like, you might as well try to have a vacation,
Yeah.
and like you're going on a dance trip.
Because when you think about it, you go to practice to like escape that, right?
Mhm.
And to dance to escape that reality. Like you shouldn't put on stress on yourself.
Mm-hmm. So you gotta. It's the easiest thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, try to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, of
But
course,
it's not.
everyone's gonna say that.
You have a rep to like maintain. Like you're repping yourself and you're repping the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Sometimes it can be tough.
I mean, you have to care about the outcome, like in order to push yourself.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You can't say I don't care, and then just like screw around.
Yeah.
But there is a medium there. You have to have fun.
Yeah.
And now, the older I get, the more reasons there are not to do this dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it has to, one of the reasons I do it has to be that I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andrew on the laptop.
What are we at now? How many minutes?
Hour and 20.
Holy
Holy.
shit.
Wow. Any shout outs you guys want to give?
Shout out to my crew. Well, GoodFunk, of course. But then my old school crew, Final Clearance. Shout out to Jesse Santos, Jay Rivera. Who else was there? Oliver Dwacki, Randall Estoy, Oscar Serla. Who else was there?
Are you guys gonna do like a
Sad
reunion thing?
Sad Gabuna. Sad.
What?
What?
I'm not getting it.
Are you guys gonna do like a reunion type thing? Final clearance? Anytime soon?
I don't know.
Even just for like a get together, like just like, you know.
Well, we usually just have like Christmas parties,
Oh, nice.
whatever.
Just old man things.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Grown ups with our kids.
Play dates.
I will shout out Lost Toys. That's like my old crew from Saskatoon. It's just Saskatoon. Which I had with Andy and Charlie Hustle, who is now Canada's favorite DJ.
Yeah.
Those guys are my brothers for sure. We a lot of us didn't keep breaking, so it was a natural thing. I was talking to Bob about this yesterday. Like, I hope they don't feel any kind of way that me and Andy moved on to this other crew. But those guys are all successful now. Like, all of the guys that moved on from breaking to other things are all like, it made sense for them. They're doing well, and I'm jealous of them because like I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, but I get to have breaking and I'm like getting decent at it, and those guys are jealous of like what's happening to me because I've stuck with it. So we're all like happy for each other
And jealous.
and jealous of one another. Yeah.
Yeah. Just life swap.
Yo, Jerms, anything you want to say? Since
Do you guys ever have like any like, what was the worst injury you guys had in dance?
Oh, I sprained my thumb doing a chair and just hyperextending my thumb, and it just keeps happening over and over.
I did jumping spinning knee drop, like a locking knee drop, and then I hurt my, I don't know, some kind of tendon or something in my left knee, and it was less like I could tell it was hurt, but I could still dance.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was always like super sore after that. Right now it's fine though, so it's all good. But yeah, you get those weird things when you do like knee drops, or especially when you jump in the air or a knees kind of split or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very impactful.
Self-grading.
Like probably the worst one, I broke my hand. Like, we were at a gymnastics place and I was trying to do like, and my back handsprings have always been crooked, and that's why I never do it because I can't fix it. But I was trying to do multiples, and so my hand kind of got gimped, and then everyone in the building heard like,
oh, that's cringeworthy. Oh, fuck.
But I learned to do jackhammers as a result because I had one hand.
Yo, you got jackhammers?
Oh, I don't like to do it. It hurts.
Secret moves.
It hurts. I don't really do it anymore.
Trying to get some intel.
Yeah.
Recently, though, it was this right before that Red Bull thing. I felt my knee like pop out. I have this move where I like do a flare in like the figure 4 position, and then kind of like swivel up, so it puts a lot of pressure on this knee. And I shouldn't have been breaking. Like, it was after practice, and it was because Jay and Phil showed up late. And I was like, I'm going to do this in front of them so that they know that I'm like ready for this battle. And of course I did it, and like I executed it well, but I felt it like, so then I was out for like 2 weeks ish. Like I was trying to break, but your knee is your knee. Mm-hmm. So that was, recently that was tough because it was right before like arguably the most important battle of my life.
Yeah, how was that experience though in Red Bull?
Good. I learned a lot. I wasn't happy with my performance, but I understand why it happened the way it did. It's scary. Sorry, I'm messing with this pop bottle.
No, it's
Is he still snappy?
Is your hand breaking right now?
That was, like they had a green room, right? Like a back room, but we were able to like see out, and it was a cool location. I think it was called the Phoenix, and it was dark and like, but it was classy, but like dark and serious. Like it was gangster, and like a pretty small circle, and the floor was pretty unique. Like I was in my own head a whole lot. Like I get nervous, and that I learned a lot about why not to get nervous at that jam. But the floor, they had this like decal, a sticker that you put down, and they gave us an opportunity to like mess around on it. Everybody fell. Like the first time everybody tried a thing on it, they slipped and fell. So like, but those of us who are more experienced, not me, are able to like adapt to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried to do a halo and just like zoop and fell and like crashed. And I'm like, so this isn't starting well. So it's already in my head. And then I knew my battle was coming up. They told us ahead of time, like 20 minutes, who we were going to battle. I was going to battle Promo, so I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to do a lot of power. He is like me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I want to beat him at the game that we both play. But I was in the back, like getting hype, drilling everything, drilling some more. And man, yeah, I got out. The battle started and I got out there and I was gassed. Like, battle hasn't started yet and I'm out of breath.
Oh shit.
Because I was panicking.
Nerves, yeah.
I was in the back like freaking out and just drilling everything. I learned recently from someone smarter than me about like how adrenaline works. And if you get overexcited and you use up all your adrenaline, like you are weaker afterward. It's like the Kaioken.
Yeah.
So you got it. You can't use it like too much. So yeah, that totally. And they've described the experience that happens to athletes when they do that. They're like freak out before the thing and get overamped. In MMA, it's a big thing.
Oh yeah.
They're in the back like murdering a punching bag, and then they're like gassed out before they even start. So that's definitely what happened to me. And I slipped. So that's another thing. And I just don't have a ton of experience in settings like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a real that was like a movie scene. You know?
Serious.
Yeah.
Probably like
It feels like life and death. Like you're just dancing, but it feels like your life is over if you don't perform at this.
You also been to Europe too, right? You've battled there.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like Red Bull that in Toronto was bigger than?
Yeah, I was never at like a big battle in Europe. I was traveling with family and like I hit up a couple things, but there was no like serious stuff. And the Red Bull thing in particular was like I was chosen, so there was like extra pressure. And you could have stacked that thing with just people from like one borough of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that could have been picked. So I was feeling pressure additionally.
Like you had to live up to
Mm-hmm. Because I was kind of like a wild card in that, I think.
Yeah.
I was like the only guy from the prairies. So, it was scary. But I learned to chill out, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. And then recently, the Sweet 16 battle,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of adapted what you learned there, then moved it on to this.
A little bit, yeah. I was in a much better headspace there. Again, I slipped, but like I didn't feel nearly as bad about that because like everybody slips.
Yeah.
I felt pretty good that I like went for things. Like I didn't. That's a big thing, is just not playing it safe.
Yeah.
You have to like go for the stuff that you know that you can do, and just hope it works out.
And number one too, when I break too, never second guess yourself. The moment you second guess yourself in the middle of a move, you fuck up.
You gotta
crash.
believe.
You gotta like fully believe that you're gonna do it and commit to it, and like don't second guess yourself even before you attempt anything. Just never second guess. It's all psychology and battles, eh? When you think about it, it's like
Yeah, Mark, you've encountered this. Do you want to talk about their bust a move experience and what was it, top 16 or something?
Yeah, made top 16. So pretty much when the prelims were happening, it was not on the main stage, and I was so bummed. I'm like, oh, I'm not on the main stage. But at the same time, it kind of helped me because I wasn't feeling that pressure anymore, and I felt more of, I have to get top 16 so I could make it onto the main stage. So then eventually, this was day one. So at the end of day one, they said the top 16 for locking, and then my name was like close to the last, and I heard my name. I'm like, I made it in. So the next day happened, and then eventually when I got on stage, I was recording, and they said my name. I'm like, oh, here we go, right? So then I was like, go on stage, and I handed my phone to someone so they could record. Then eventually the music started happening, and I'm like, okay, I was like, I didn't really listen to the music. I was just kind of walking around with the music and not really thinking about how fast to go. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in right now. Just started like doing moves, and I wasn't really listening. And then eventually I started, and then the stage was pretty big. Then eventually it started to feel like it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Then I couldn't hear the music, and then I guess I was just listening to the crowd to hear if they're like cheering or not, which was a bad thing because I was too busy focusing on like cheers instead of the music. And then eventually, I kind of lost the music. Then I started doing kind of the same moves over and over again. And then eventually I didn't hear them say next dancer. I was just still going at it.
Oh. Next dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of lost the whole battle because of like experience. Obviously.
And a battle you could have well won. Like I saw that on the live stream, and I was like, oh, I was kind of like, oh.
I know. I was pretty mad.
But it's good to have those experiences too, right? Because like you get to learn from those the most. Like when you're winning, you don't really learn as much as when you lose.
But it's the last Busta move.
Oh.
Yeah, bring Busta move back. Come on, Spicy.
Yeah, Spicy.
And then bring Last One Stands back. In Vancouver, that one's a hype battle. Abe and Dennis. Yeah. They organized that one. That one's hype. I guess there's only smaller ones now, like in Canada, smaller jams. I mean, they're still on point with the locking. Is that in Montreal?
I think so.
There's that one, and then there's like they have the Street Dance Festival in Vancouver, which has like various styles. But I want to see more events. That's what I'm like kind of disappointed in. It's like, why are these events continuing?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like an old person thing to complain about, but like you can see breakdancing or whatever for free on the internet. So like having events used to be necessary for the community. Now not so much, and especially getting like a mom and her kids to show up is difficult because the kids are already watching what they would be going to see anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so there is something to be said though about live events. Like it's different. It's different than just a video. And I remember P-Lock, his locking event, I think in France, he's like, one year he had it all recorded and then he posted it up on YouTube. And then the next year he's like, oh, there's not going to be any video this year because I want people to actually come out to the event and, actually be there in person. So that was a thing that he did. I thought it was pretty cool. It was kind of bad for me because I'm like, oh, I don't get to see any of these battles. But no, I guess it's good if you're going there and watching.
Yeah, I recommend people like become a fan. That you find people that you care about, whether they do well or not, and watch for that. You don't just go and be like, I'm going to see some dancing. Like go and see like my guy. Like this is why watching sports is so fun.
Yeah.
It's just like you have your guy or girl that you're cheering for, and it maybe even bet some money. Like
why not?
Make it interesting. Because I think that's what you can't get out of online is like the community and the fandom.
Yeah, that doesn't translate into the video very, very well. I mean, like it can only reach a certain point, and then it's like, then you have to actually experience it.
Yeah. Well, and you can actually influence the event if you go and you cheer for the person you like. Like that's a way to participate, and it means something. Like judges listen to the crowd, whether they will admit it or not.
Yeah, I think so. The crowd plays a big part of it.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this thing up?
Probably lots.
What grinds your gears, Brady? What grinds your gears?
Oh no, we asked it. Why did you say it?
You don't even have to answer. We could just.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we need to criticize each other in the scene. Like we don't. If you see someone who you feel like you can't tell them what you don't like about them or their dance, like as long as you're respectful, this is a thing that like we need more of. East Coast is really good at that.
Oh yeah.
I think and we all need to be more like that. I think like if someone thinks that I like, and also there's just so much misunderstandings in these communities, and people don't know how to communicate, and so it could be like, yo, why didn't you shake my hand that day? And be like, and the answer could be, I didn't even see you. Like, but instead you'll just like have this like awkward beef. And I don't know. I'm not good at like those subtleties. Yeah. So like I would like to request that everyone say what they think to one another, and like there's a lot, especially with breaking. Like if you're in a room with like a celebrity b-boy, like that person just gets to be right. All the time. It's the same. I mean, it's not just breaking. Like if you're in the room with anybody who's like got clout, like there is this thing with people where you just want to agree with them, and I'm not about it. So
Speak your
please,
mind.
everybody, like be a dick to me, and I won't mind.
All right.
We out?
We are gonna
Episode
be
7 done?
Episode 7 done. Thanks, Braden and Mark for coming on the podcast, and Jerms too.
Filling in for Gamboa.
Next week, or next one that we're putting up, it's gonna be Vinny. Vinny's gonna be coming on. He's a jiu-jitsu guy, so we're talking about a lot of fighting type stuff. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, thanks guys for coming along, and then we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
CypherTalk.
Thanks for doing it, guys. It's cool. Keep it up.
Awesome.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.